Oh, right. I think we're live. Connect streaming software. Hold on a second. Go live. Cool. All right. Sweet. Let's just see here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. We are live. Hello, everybody. Good to see y'all. Bill and Kay here with not that many episodes of this, but we'd like to maybe get back to it, to put some info out, to chat, to do all of that good stuff.
I wouldn't say it's been a slow season. I feel like there's like stuff, like a month really isn't very long by the time we announce a workout, people start posting, close it out. So I think there's Leslie. Um, yeah, it's amazing how it goes quickly. Our intentions of like having time to like, oh, hop on it somehow,
Yeah.
but um, but it does feel good to have kind of closed out the season, and it's cool to see the top people and move into, yeah, thinking about finals, but I think also like having a moment before we look at finals to just, yeah, appreciate all the people that participated. And I mean, I'm not even close to being in contention of any kind of top of the leaderboard. And the season was like super valuable for me. I think this season actually changed my perspective on rucking. And I went into it not loving rucking, and now I have like the bug. So I think I don't know what other people's experiences were, but hopefully others found, a lot of value in it and maybe learned some things that they didn't expect.
You weren't really a fan of rucking.
No, I would say I actually disliked rucking. Like saying I'm
It
not
was
a
actually,
fan. Yeah,
uh-huh. What didn't you like about it?
I felt like I struggled to embrace that like in between. Like I like running, and walking
Mm-hmm.
is like a leisurely, like there's no effort kind of thing. I felt like rucking was that like in between, but it's really, I think my perspective was wrong. I was putting it in the category of running and walking, but really it's its own thing. And so I
Oh,
think
yeah.
once I saw it as like its own thing, this like loading component, I think that just opened up like a whole other, you know, set of challenges. And even obviously in this season, even some of the brainstorming we've had for next season, and obviously you have like ideas, I don't know where they come from, but there's actually a lot of ways to change up rucking. And for me, I think I was doing what we talked about initially, like throw in a backpack, go around your neighborhood. I didn't find that necessarily challenging or compelling or inspiring. It was just sort of like, well, this is just uncomfortable. So I think this brought it
Right.
to like a place of like an athletic endeavor and something that had more depth to it.
Yeah. I think that's a really kind of like, I think that's a good point. And, obviously we kind of have like an agenda or things we'd like to talk about. We'd like to review the season. We'd like to talk about the partner series and address some finals. And then there's a bunch of questions. But I don't know. I think it's also nice to just chat about stuff that's applicable to people. And the thing I hear you saying about this is uh, rucking really needing a home of its own, and like just like its own kind of sovereignty as an activity, as a form of exercise. Because I guess I never really thought of that. If you view it as walking, it's too hard.
Hmm.
There's too much effort compared to walking. And if you view it as running, it's like, well, I can't, it's too slow.
Yeah.
And what's kind of funny in almost like a polar way is through viewing our view, my view, our view, is we we can go to some really amazing new places and experiences if we view rucking as a sport
Yeah.
versus comparing it to other sports or modalities or activities.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting. I mean, we haven't, this is the first we're talking about it. Um, but yeah, I think that that is, I get excited about that because it's not limited to what's available. It's inviting us to create something that's currently, I think, being done in different places, but untapped.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and I think,
you know,
like, I will continue to say and give you credit for, I think one of your gifts is you do have like a creative mind, and that paired with physical things, like even outside of rocking, like some of the workouts you come up with, like there's a creative element to that. And I think it's really cool to have had this season that this stuff, to your point, was just created. And it's not like these things were so wild that it was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so crazy." But yeah, just creating that platform, I think creating the ways different people were, people maybe weren't ever thinking about it in that way. But I think all of those things then present this like new opportunity for
mm,
like an official challenge. Because I would have never done that 12 miler. And I would
no,
have never done it as fast. Like, and it's just funny because it's like, why does that matter? And that is the essence of sport. That's what we keep saying. Not sport like, oh, this is only for people who are the best. Um, but sport in that, like, to what we said way back in the beginning of the season when we created this, why people go and compete in a local 5K, and they start everybody and they take their time, and they give you a, hey, this is where you place, like, because it does something to you that's different than if you just went out and did that same course on your own on a Tuesday afternoon. And I for sure felt that, and I came away feeling, not on every challenge, but for sure the last one, like, pride. Like, wow, I did that. That's cool. And I didn't know if I could. I didn't,
yeah,
So I mean, I think people are in for a real treat as this continues. Cause even the other day when we were just like iterating on like next season, like there are lots of things I will not give you credit for until you're not good at. But you're really good at, like, even some of the ideas you had. I'm like, where do you, like, yeah, that's, wow, I never thought of that either. Like there's endless opportunities.
what's an example that you can share? Because
Well, I'm
I
not
don't
going to give
even remember what.
away I'm not gonna give away one of the work,
Okay,
like, one of
but
the events for next season that you came up
oh
with where,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it was just like, "Oh, yeah, that's cool." Like, "Oh, I didn't think about that." And again, it's not some crazy cockamamie thing, but it's just, like, orienting towards this in a different way, like, "Oh, yeah, I don't know what that would feel like." That where people don't have, like, a predisposed prediction of, like, "Oh, yeah, I know that. That's how that feels." So I think it's cool to feel like there's a long runway.
yeah, yeah. Well, and and that's, I think, some of the stuff that Joe, Giovanni, Lucas, and Michael have spoken to in their comments. Like, one, the other athletes getting people by, getting people through, us obviously as the sort of founders, leaders, creators, whatever the heck we're saying, we are stewards maybe of this, to give the invitation and then for others to accept the invitation and then participate in the party with others. Like, there's so much there, and it's like, man, we can go to some really cool places together if we do that. And um I think that's where sort of tapping into the good element of competition
Yeah. You
for
have
whatever.
a
Yeah.
So that's funny. Bill has like he'll like come up with these things. Just I'm just giving people an inside peek into the brain of Bill, which can be a scary place. But
Don't.
you will come up with these ideas or little tidbits, and then they like get collected in various places, sometimes in journals, sometimes in our inbox. And we share an inbox now for Ruck Race League. So it's very interesting to see. And you've had one that's been sitting there, but Bill won't like to share them. He wants to like sit on them, and he's kind of a hoarder in that way. But I'm gonna share it, and you
Okay,
can
why is this
elaborate.
what this is now turned into something.
No,
This is not
I'm just saying that you might be like, oh, I can't believe you shared that, but I'm
whatever.
going
Go
to.
for it. I don't give a shit.
Anyway, it's an email that you wrote to yourself, and it's like this concept of comparative versus competitive. And that was like a concept that you had early on with this. And, you
Comparative
know,
versus
there
competitive.
or comparative, and like that doesn't always equal competitive. So there's like, yeah, this notion of like you can be competitive with yourself and go to new places. It doesn't mean you have to like compare. Like if I compared myself to Grace, my friend who did the final event in an hour and 44 minutes, I can still be competitive with myself. Comparative, oh, like, man, I really suck compared to Grace. Like that's a very different thing. Um, and so that's yeah, I like that concept and that way of orienting towards these challenges and yeah, competition. There it is. See that? That's been in there since what's the date on that? May 1?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how to drive this thing. Can I? What do you see now?
Yeah, I see a screenshot of it.
People
I'm
confuse
blind.
competition for comparison. It isn't. Competition is about striving in common. Comparison is about driving apart. Competition is a relationship between ourselves and the task. Comparison is a fractured relationship of differences. Uh,
May
what do you
9th.
think about that?
Anyway, so that is I think that kind of sums up a lot of the experience for maybe people had where there's a feeling of community, and of course people pushing each other, but kind of elevating the entire thing, not just being like me versus you. So um yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I think there's a lot of, I feel like there's a cultural commentary that we can definitely go down to. And, but like, for example, not to tie it totally back or whatever, but like newbie, he did 12 miles. We witnessed it.
Hmm.
Came to the final event. The dude is ruck god. We should celebrate those types of performances and all acknowledge like dude did a 12 miler. By the way, he had 52 pounds in his ruck. I know this because I weighed the ruck with him right there in 1 hour and 19 minutes. That's bananas. The Slagter brothers. I hope I'm pronouncing y'all's names correctly. I'm not sure if they're on the Dutch duo. All right. I hope y'all are booking your tickets for finals because it's the race we all want to see. And when I envision finals in Atlanta, November 22nd, at least on the men's side, man, there's some like legitimate racing that could happen there.
Why do you say
And
just at least on the men's side? I mean, the women are pretty tight too.
I know I just was talking about the men for the
Oh, okay.
like newbie. I'm gonna have to go to the anyway. I'm not saying that that's not there's not
Yeah.
on the women's side. Let me go. But anyway, the like those three, right, come to mind or two come to mind. Let's just bring up the leaderboard. Hold on a second. Let me put this on. All right. So okay, so Anna, overall winner, awesome job. So when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at yeah, I mean events 1, 3, and 5 are obviously like I think a little bit more probably general. The load Atlas, awesome. Definitely showed someone's strength. I think there's a minimum. I think there's a minimum requirement here for Atlas for an individual
Mhm.
to be like kind of competitive.
Right.
Stairway to Heaven, the elevation bit, that's definitely going to be tested. But again, from like a measurement standpoint, I think if we have time to go into some lessons learned, I didn't love the way that I didn't love the tech bit
Yeah.
of stair. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, but hey, we're going to improve. We're going to iterate. We're going to figure it out. But like here, the standard, so 146 legit time, right? Like crazy time. Kennedy, she's a gazelle, 155. Grace,
Yeah, she won that one,
insane,
144.
right?
Yeah.
Like 144. So 144. What did Anna do? 146, 155. Where's Tessa at? 159. So like, and then Tawny, I think she hit 201. So like that's crazy, right? Like that's legit. There's a lot of people in close proximity there. I mean, nobody's close to newbie though. That's the thing. That's what's
Mhm.
crazy. 119, like nobody's close to that. But Slagter's there. Oops. Who came in second with that one? I thought it was
Yeah, and I think, like, transitioning just so we don't get, people who are listening who
yeah,
wanna
right.
hear about some of the stuff coming up. I mean, speaking of finals, I was thinking about it today because we've talked about obviously the final event, which it will be an unknown to the participants, to the competitors, not obviously
Hmm.
to us. But there are some elements of it that are like not, I have not seen in any kind of racing events. That'll be really cool and a test of like knowing yourself as well. Um, but the fear of like people getting there who don't deserve to be there. I mean, that's not really going to be a concern. If someone cheated their way there, they're in for kind of a rude awakening, I think. Which is kind of funny. It's sort of just how it's going to go, but it'll be a really challenging test for people with some really cool twists. And I think if people can show up for it, I do hope they make the effort because I don't think it'll be there, like I said, what they maybe expect or
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
there's
You can
definitely what?
this Lucas was asking about ranking by each event. I think if you go on strongest
Yeah.
leaderboard, not on the app, but actually on strongest and look at the leaderboard, you can go by event. You can
Yeah, if
select
you
by
go
event.
to
Yeah.
compete.strongest.com and go to the leaderboard through the web, you can
Yeah.
filter, which um yeah, you can filter it that way. Yeah, I mean finals, I'm like really excited for finals. Yeah, there's some stuff that I know for a fact that people have not experienced that we're going to do. Um so that'll be really cool. Get um let's see what else. Yeah, I mean sponsors, we're going to have some sponsors down there. We saw Greg from Concept 2. They're going to be there. Maybe some others that we had chatted about. So if there are people who are watching or whatever, and have sponsor brand companies stuff like that, just shoot us a note. Sponsors finals won't be live streamed. I don't think we're that good, but we are hoping. We're hoping to put something out like that would be a cool idea. I like that idea, Lucas. In real time,
It might
we'll
be a bit
see.
long to sit and watch.
Yeah. Oh, something's happening. Something's happening.
What's that? Um, yeah,
All right.
Giovanni was commenting about his experience with the hill and um,
Mm,
yeah.
mm. Yeah. Yeah, that's the real life shit right there. You know, that's meaningful. Um, all right. So
Yeah, I mean,
Where
I
should we
don't
go
know if
now?
people have questions on finals, but yes, it will be contained within one day, the 22nd. We'll actually be down scouting the spot that we've selected, which is very close. It's a park down by George right in Atlanta area. Um, Once we've been down there, there's hotel deals for people for participants, codes, and there's all kinds of travel logistics and such that we'll give out to people after that trip. This week, folks who qualified will receive an invite. Um, but then if they don't all accept, there will be a second tier of folks that get invited. So we are really hoping to have a good group down there. It might not be huge this time around, but that's okay. But we really hope people who can make it will make the effort. And again, some of
Mhm.
those logistics will be shared, but there'll be quite a bit that's going to just be remain unknown. Yeah. So
Yeah, and this is a good question, Joe. You're gonna have to bring your own equipment, and we'll send out what will be required. I For right now, we're not. I don't think currently we're in a position to have to provide the equipment.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's definitely part of the plan, I would say, for us, like for kind of internal our goals for what, because a lot of people have asked, what's next season, what do you see? Somebody asked, what do you see in 5 years from now or whatever. Yeah, that would be super cool. Like I would love to get in a position where we're able to not only provide the equipment, but also have that be like a take home,
Mhm.
keep the equipment kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But
And
we're just not there yet.
yeah, and I think we're trying to model, this is new for us, and we're trying to look at, obviously this is a different event, but like what are other similar events doing? What are other similar events charging? What are they providing? What are they not providing? So yeah, we're trying to at least get a sense of like what the standard is in these types of events. But of course, if we're dealing with a small group, so if there's logistical issues and such, we obviously want to work with people to figure that out.
Yeah.
Our interaction with CrossFit, yeah, so Dave Castro has been, we've both worked for CrossFit. He's been a friend for quite a long time. I started working on the seminar stuff in '09, so I guess that's when, I've known him since. And yeah, so he is really into rucking. Obviously, he was in the military, and I think for him it was like kind of to the point of what we're doing with sport, something interesting. So that was our opportunity, being a spectator event at the games. I think rucking offers that opportunity of something low barrier people could participate in. It could be fun. So yeah, I mean, the CrossFit Health, they've also been supportive because, for the CrossFit space for affiliates, we think, which is why we started that program initially, the give back, um, it's a really good opportunity for affiliates to have people come in, get the feel of the community, but do something like rucking that is not as intimidating. There's opportunities for a lot of programs and all that. I mean, we used to own an affiliate, so I think there's a nice synergy. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was
Well,
just
I was just gonna say, with the supportive, the thing that really kind of did open our eyes, honestly, to finals. Like it was cool because the event that we did at the games on Saturday morning for the fans, right? It was not for the athletes this year, was the 12 miler. And so we had, right, the 45 and 35. So for example, newbie came over. We had a couple people come over. Shoot, I'm blanking on who else from the league was there. Man, your name's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, We just said you needed to have your own ruck, your own bag, but we would have the weight and we would have various weights. The only reason we were able to do that was because Rogue was there and had tens of thousands of pounds of change plates
Yeah.
and bumper, like all of that stuff. And it was
Hmm.
kind of like, yeah, that's huge. So again, like that would be a good ideal. That would be a good one, but we're not sure there. Of course, air travel and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of like we want to make accessibility really is one of our grounding and guiding
Hmm.
principles. And so we do want to make this thing accessible. We also want to it also just needs to be realistic. So
Yeah.
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 But what you were saying about CrossFit also and the affiliate, that might be a good thing to chat briefly about the partner
Yeah.
series. We
Yeah.
just launched that. There's a couple gyms, like for example, the one we used to own, they're doing it, right? They're hosting it Motown here in Jersey. I
Right.
I feel like I feel like CrossFit gyms in particular. I mean, any gym, but like first, just we've done a lot of work with the CrossFit space. But man, what a marketing, not even marketing, I guess advertising. F45, Orange Theory, whatever the other chains are,
Yeah.
and whatever the other things are. High Rocks, even like that's the fine. Take it, right? Like those are going to exist. No one's saying you shouldn't. But what is, I think, different, and this has always been something that's been like just a thing within the CrossFit space, is the infusion into the local community or geography. And I'm a little surprised, honestly, that rucking and community kind of ruck based activities haven't been more pushed from, I don't know if I'd say CrossFit HQ's perspective. And so then with that, obviously, I don't have vision into all of the different community or like local regions. But like, what greater way? People are walking around with the weight vests. People are walking
Hmm.
around with some people are walking around with rucks. People are also generally inclined to gather. People form lines. And like a group walking through your town is there's eyes on that.
Yeah. I think this goes back to how we started this though. It's kind of boring. If you're just saying like, "Oh, rucking at a CrossFit gym," I mean, because I know even our old gym, they did like a ruck day, and that was kind of a nice novelty. One day, they all walked in the morning, and then they did some squats or something. But I don't think it's been interesting enough. Like, and that's the difference with even the partner series. There's at least two, three that you could actually do within an hour-long class. Um, I think an hour is pushing it, but at least two of them are like, kind of ruck workouts that are interesting. So both the ruck total, the elevation, kind of hill sprints, so I think when there hasn't been that type of event, it's kind of like, well, what are we going to do? Just throw backpacks on and go walk around town. But I think
Right. But
that's where the connection with like programming and there's something interesting about like, oh, okay, we're doing step ups or we're doing this or we're doing that to get stronger for we're doing a run today, we're doing endurance. Those are all also coordinated with getting better at rucking because you need to be working your upper back, your legs, your hips, your endurance, all that stuff.
yeah, I mean, I guess I think, and here's the events. Wingman, we changed that to handoff, by the way. Not that anybody probably noticed or cares, but 10 miles, one person wearing the ruck at a time. Lockstep, 60-minute ruck, so that's an hour, each wearing 20%. You're tethered. So there's like an interesting component, a little teamwork component. Ruck total. This is fun, 4x400 for load. There were some questions on this, so let me just address that. Yes, you and your partner have to both do the same weight. So like if Kay and I are partnered up, even though I'm a dude, she's a gal, yeah, maybe, but like there's plenty of women in the league who put up higher raw scores in the total than some men. So
Mhm.
like it's like, yeah, just let the effort stand for itself. But like if I was going to say, hey, I want to go for 250, you know, that would not be cool. Right. So it's you each have to do it. So 4x400, and then Mad Max, 45 minutes max elevation, one person working at a time, hill
Yeah, it's like
sprints,
a
that
hill
kind of a
sprint.
thing.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
I guess I hear what you're saying in terms of it's not it's not sexy enough, maybe, or like it's not interesting enough, or that's it. But I think to the people who need, that's where like rucking as a gateway drug for greater fitness, I think is something that makes so much sense.
Yeah, I don't mean it's not. I just mean if someone's gonna like, why am I coming to this class? What am I paying for? Like, we know that's a thing for sure in CrossFit gym. Like,
Yeah.
what am I getting? Um, I don't know that many members, if it's like, hey, well, what am I doing this for? I could just go walk on my own. I think it's that gateway drug of like, at least for the Morristown, because Robin's saying he's about to post that. Um, into the member group. I think what's cool is, so for instance, Morristown, we are doing on one Saturday, they're having like 2 or 3 classes. People are signing up and we're doing the partner total, the ruck total, because that's kind
Mhm.
of a fun one. Like I think that's fun. We're encouraging people to sign up for the entire series. That one we're all doing together in the gym. And obviously they can coordinate if they wanted to arrange the other ones as a gym. But I think that's like what's cool about that is if someone's curious about coming to the gym, putting a backpack on and walking, that's like, oh, I could do that. We're all doing that. We're all just walking with a backpack. Not, I'm coming to a free class, but I don't know, are they going to be doing those things with the bars? Are they going to be jumping? I don't jump, my back. I think I think it's a cool way to get people into the walls of the gym to experience what is unique about CrossFit, which is the community, the coaching,
Yeah.
without the like other stuff that people make up in their mind. It doesn't matter how good you are at scaling, how non-intimidating you think your coaching your members are. People make that stuff up and that's what keeps them away. So knowing it's like, oh, yeah, I've walked with a weight vest, or I see that's valuable. I think it could be a great way to have people, the best way to have people experience that environment without the other fear stuff. So, yeah,
Yeah. 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 No, I agree. Um,
just to go back to the total though, you did a video on it. I think it's really important for people to watch because it's 4 attempts. You get 4 attempts. So if you
yeah.
fail, like if you and I are partnered and on the
Right.
fourth attempt, you're like, come on, Kay, like don't be a wimp. We can do 200 pounds and you do it, but then I fail it. We only have those first 3 attempts that we get to count. So if you
Yeah. It's like a
fail an
missed
attempt,
lift.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's only 4 attempts, not for successful completion. So you have to be sort of smart with, what you're doing.
And that's why we put in the rule as well. You have an hour
Right.
for all 4 attempts. So there's a time component here. Look, if you come across the finish line at an hour and 30 seconds, like it's fine. But like there's an hour. You have an hour to do the attempts. Like
Mhm.
we can tell by the thing if you tried. And I would say that this is again another thing that like it is new in the sense that again, so rucking as a sport. I'm like obsessed with this idea of legitimizing rucking as a sport. Okay. And we've heard a lot of criticism, not a lot, but we've certainly heard criticism both online and in person about how we can't police up people.
Mhm.
And that's fine. I would say that's more cynicism than criticism, though. A
Yeah.
cynical view of others is, oh, they're gonna spend all day out there. They're gonna manipulate Strava. They're gonna put like, okay, well, that's what they're gonna do. That's who they're gonna be. However, I had people, Wesley, for example, he messaged and was like, "Hey, I submitted the wrong score. I realized like I submitted a different time. Here's my other time. Can you adjust it for me?" He called himself out. I wouldn't have legitimately known that.
Mm-hmm.
This is when the leaderboard was still open. And I was like, wow, thanks for your integrity. And so when it comes to rucking as a sport, this idea that we need referees is nonsense to me.
Yeah.
Golf does not have referees. Yeah, there's score people there or whatever. The beautiful thing about golf, and I'm not much of a golfer, but like I respect the heck out of golf because it's grounded on integrity. And when integrity is something that either finds your solid ground or is something that is completely absent and degrades the actual fabric, that's going to determine a lot of different things. And we are from the beginning on that, and we will give people the benefit of the doubt. We choose to see the good and the potential in people, knowing absolutely that the human spirit can sometimes get tainted. But we believe that, hey, you're your own ref. Because really, like,
Yeah.
okay, great, you did this physical event. But if you go home and, you know, or in the world and act like that, you know. So anyway, that's kind of just a bit on that component of rucking as a sport. We don't have referees.
Mm-hmm.
You're your own person. You call your own fault. And it's the same thing that we did see in the CrossFit gym, right? We've all done this before. It's like you give yourself a no rep, right? You're doing wall balls and you hit below the target, but that's your last one. It's like do the target and whatever. I do want to talk about a couple questions we had, a couple comments, some things. Masters or age divisions. That was something we had heard from pretty much the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that next year, so what's happening next year? Obviously, we're not in a position to say exactly what is happening, but one of the things that from an AR perspective or from an improves thing, it will be really cool to list that. So that's something that we're going to try to iterate, and we're not going to have it be. I don't believe that we should have it be the workouts different. Like I don't, for example, taking a marathon. Older people do 26.2, younger people do 26.2. It's no age divisions in this and that. So I think the tasks will be the same. The overall leaderboard, I don't think we segregate and put people into a separate leaderboard, but I do think there's a way to show from a functionality standpoint, like a broken out leaderboard. So we've got the main one and then we've got that. Um, but that's something that I'd like to make an improvement for and be able to show because it is
Mm-hmm.
cool, right? It is cool to kind of say like, hey, and we want to like put an appropriate light on that. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean,
Are
this
you
is the
checking
first
out?
time we've talked. I'm here, but we haven't really talked about how we would do that. So we'll have to
Yeah.
argue
And I
about
think
that
that's
for a
something
while.
in strongest that we can work with those guys on.
Yeah.
There was a couple questions. What happened to Dave?
Dave is doing a adventure race this coming weekend, he said. Well, there's two things. The real reason sounds like he's doing an adventure race with Rucking, Land Nav, and Shooting in Wyoming this weekend, that he wanted to make sure he was not injuring or doing any damage to himself so he could prepare for.
Yeah.
But he did think for a minute about just walking it for training, and then I did it in 2 hours and 33 minutes, and he said that he was not gonna do it now because he didn't want me to beat him. So I don't know if that was
Did he really?
serious. Yeah. He goes, "Well, now I can't do it because then you'll have beat me." So, but I think, yeah, maybe a combination of the two, but it sounds like, yeah, he had something he was training for that was important enough to not risk anything. So,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe message him and ask him, see what he says.
Yeah. Get in the old DMs or the tags.
Yeah.
Customizable leaderboard. Yeah, so and that was another thing, like customizable leaderboard, divisions, this and that. I'm not entirely sure how to do that. Not that I'm up to it. Like, for example, this is another thing I wanted to talk about. So real quick, just on a big picture scale, we have to deal with readily available tech. We're not creating tech. We're not inventing tech, right? Our website, we use Squarespace.
Mm-hmm.
The leaderboard, we use this company called Strongest. They're the ones who do Rogue and all of that. For tracking, we had to use Strava, right? There's no like Ruck Race League app that has all of this
Right.
in.
Right.
So it's like off the shelf, what can we get? So from a leaderboard perspective, like customizable, searchable leaderboards, like or if you could create, it would be really cool to create your own gym leaderboard. I think I saw a thing in Strongest that they're moving towards that. I would imagine they would want to. Yeah, that's a
Yeah, that's
value
cool.
add, right? Like that would be really cool. Be
I mean, because
a great.
arguably in the Open and the CrossFit Open,
Yeah.
where you stack among hundreds and thousands, but it's really like, hey, what's going on in your gym? And that makes it exciting to be able to
Yeah.
just see the people you kind of care about.
Yeah. And I think that that's coming. Like I do think that they would have. I do think that that's coming. The other thing is from a scoring perspective. So this is a thing with the end result. So the leaderboard is what the leaderboard is. It's final. There are people who did not complete all 5 events
Mm-hmm.
who are ranked higher than people who did complete all 5 events. Using David as an example, he's one of them. The
Mm-hmm.
reason that is the case is because from a bigger picture scale, when I build the workouts and put everything into the back end for each workout, or even I think maybe in general, you have to select what point system theory do you essentially want to subscribe to.
Mm-hmm.
And placement, we're racing, it's based on placement. The challenge with that is that, for example, in Chronos, 200 people did Chronos.
Mm-hmm.
Atlas workout 2, 100 people did that. So there is the proportion and the points assignment is different workout to workout.
Right.
Even if we were to say, okay, let's just say 500 people sign up, 250 and 250, we're going to assign like all of them. Like, what happens to the people who don't do it? Do they get removed from the pool? Like, that's not accurate, right? That kind of messes up the data. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, what I'm trying to say is the theory that you just, and this is the thing, there's no custom leaderboard thing. There's no custom like point scoring system, I should say. But rest assured, the people who did not do all 5 events, it was not in their favor because they automatically got assigned a last place finish. So when you're looking at the leaderboard, you're essentially looking at what happens if the people who, like, for example, if Dave is 1 slot ahead of you and you're like, oh, that's not fair,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't do it. Well, that's beneficial actually to you in your ranking, because had he done it, he would likely, nobody would have finished last. If you did it,
Mm-hmm.
you by definition did not finish absolute last. So just a thing on interpreting the leaderboard, you can be part of the no asterisk club, where if you look at your leaderboard and you see a clean ranking, no asterisk, like you got it, right? You went 5 for
Yeah.
5. Um,
And
That's
the
the
point being, for the finals, no one is getting an invite who didn't do all of them. So if your end goal is to make it to the next stage, that person isn't going to get an invite.
yeah.
So there are some questions. So Lucas was asking, well, kind of a quick one on Leslie's thing. Not thinking my age changes my abilities, but it really did for parts of this. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that that is a factor. I think there are also other factors like that are just part of the. There's a lot of factors. There's also how much you weigh, right? Like Leslie's a smaller person, someone who the percent of body weight or those were some of the events, but like the standard 35 pounds for someone like Leslie, or that's going to be a lot heavier than someone who a female that's like 160 pounds, right? So um but I do think um having a different age group, for people who the rankings and that as we develop this and get more people, it will matter. um
Yeah, I think,
yeah.
I again, and of course, there's a part of me that's like, okay, hey, if we have whatever the rankings are or whatever the workouts are, a second version or a different
Hmm.
version, that's something that maybe we can consider. I don't
Yeah.
know exactly how it
Well,
looks.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
about like someone like my mom, or I think
Mhm.
it's such a and because Leslie is like competitive for any age. She's
Yeah.
just saying in this particular case that kind of like pushed her out a little bit. But I do think it's something that, like, there are people when you look at Ironman competing who are in their 70s, and I mean, it's impressive, and not excluding people from being able to participate. So at a certain point, a certain age, yeah, the weights probably have to change, or the actual event. But that's definitely something we're gonna dig
Well, I
into. And
think
like again, this first season was, yeah, just
what
just learning a lot. To Lucas's point, learning a lot, seeing what's happening, taking inventory of, oh, what do we need to do differently next year?
the thing that's wild about this is that, and using Leslie as an example, because and one, she's a phenomenal athlete. Let her top finish was 25th. Okay, that was in Stairway to Heaven. And if we're just using age, Leslie, I'm not calling you old. Okay, let's just be clear about that. But if you were to think about, okay, what workout would someone's age maybe have the most or a significant impact on? I would say like the ability to go up and down stairs is certainly like that's one of the things, right? Like elevate, like so,
Mhm.
and then we have this highest performance in that. So like I think that there's definitely an opportunity and a case to be made for alternatives or adjustments, but there's also a lot of evidence to support that like that might be a story we're talking about. So don't really know. Um okay, what else do we
Yeah.
got here? What
Well,
do you wish
Lucas
you would have
was,
done differently this year? Any big misses?
I think the
Hmm,
only thing that was a bit of a, as you've alluded to, frustration, just the tech with the elevation, like you didn't love that.
no.
That's something we'd like to figure out and are working on.
I think
The
the other thing would be I don't know if this is like on us. I don't think it is necessarily, but kind of looking at how could we have done better. The drop off.
mm, the retention or lack of.
Yeah, we had a lot of people do chronos, and we started it at something that our goal was to have the first workout, the first event be something that everybody can do. They could be like, "Oh, nice, I can do that. I did do that. Awesome."
Hmm.
Warming up. If you noticed also, and this was sort of from our perspective, like if you noticed how the season went, it got progressively harder. It
Right.
also, people who stayed with it and trained and did all of that, they PR'd their previous, like, so we got better. And that was one of the things that we wanted to we'll let the cat out of the bag now. But like when we were talking about building this, the idea was also to have people almost like Trojan horse here, where, oh, if they stayed with it, they got better. Where a lot of times, from as an athlete perspective, not that you don't get better because there's like skill and form and maybe hitting your groove, but from a fitness perspective, we wanted people to experience a progression
Yeah.
and an improvement
Hmm.
as a not as a primary reason, but as a really nice secondary benefit. Um, why we had people go from, let's just say we had 50% of the people who signed up didn't do it. That that's a bummer. I think that's a miss. I don't know. Like we opened the leaderboard twice to try to get people to participate. Right, we really wanted as many people as we can. So I don't know. I feel like that's kind of like I don't know what the lesson is quite yet, but
Yeah. I think unfortunately that is also a common thing, and hopefully as we grow and maybe that changes, but there's definitely that excitement of signing up for something. That's kind of arguably the easy part, paying, signing up, and then it's fitting it into your life. It's making a commitment. It's seeing the value. So, yeah, hopefully, I think people who did it and are sharing their experience that can always inspire people next year to maybe say, you know what, let me stick with it.
mhm,
Um, Before you skip to that one, Lucas was also asking who tested these workouts to give your benchmarks. I mean, we really just did them ourselves. There was no one that pre-tested uh,
right.
these. Obviously, you've done the 12 miler quite a bit. Um,
Yeah,
no,
that right,
there won't be any other movements.
right.
I think one of our things has been like, keeping for us, I think it's safe to say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, for the league, for making rucking a sport, we're really not looking at anything other than rucking and dealing with load, elevation, distance, time. Like those are the elements. Um, Not adding in any other things. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree, and that's been our thing from the beginning. There's no rucking only thing from a sport perspective.
Hmm.
Um, these are all wonderful
We
things to do, but be prepared. Like these are inputs to fit. Like these are movement patterns, right? Push, pull, lunge,
Mhm.
hops, hinge, squat, etc. Um, but like then we're then we're it's almost like running an experiment with multiple variables. There needs to be one variable and
Mhm.
everything else controlled. And we're interested in your capacity to ruck. If somebody's really good at pull-ups and weighted, what is this? Dan Bailey did like 100-pound ruck Murph, like, okay,
Mhm.
freak, but also like and awesome, no doubt. But we're staying in our lane of rucking as a
Yeah.
sport, and all other movements support your capacity to ruck, but we're testing the capacity to ruck, and
Yeah.
we have our
Yeah.
variables that we're looking at.
Um, we are toying with, when we're talking about like what's to come. Do you want to share like kind of some thoughts on
Yeah,
that we're thinking of, I think for us, like just an insight into, what's funny is like we started this and sort of have been building the whatever they say, building the bridge as we're crossing it or whatever the expression is, building the boat as we're sailing it. I don't know, whatever. You get
building
the day.
anything.
As you're in the middle of traversing, you're building as you go.
We got it. We got it. We
Um,
got it.
okay. Wow. Too bad you're going away for a week. Um, so we want to be careful also not to like distract but rather add value. One of the reasons like with the partner series we thought that would be adding value and is that it is a cool thing that you can kind of continue your training. We really thought it was a opportunity for people that are more like partner some people are more individual people, some people are more partner people. It's kind of giving those people a fun outlet, something you could do together. Um, but we certainly don't want to be like putting too much out there and watering down what we're doing. But in terms of rucking and preparing for the season, we are playing around with doing some programming. Um, we also, for those who don't know, own a gym. We've owned a gym. We have done like online programming. It's not in any way to take away from like, there's so many great programs out there that have all kinds of online programming. That is great. There's in-person gyms that have wonderful programming. This would be more of a really like a supplement to whatever people are doing who kind of want to have part of their training be, okay, how do I get stronger at rucking? So it's not to replace people's maybe other things. And we played around with it last season. Someone said the Vector project is great. Those that downloaded that, you can kind of see how that went. There's an endurance workout, a strength workout, a rucking workout. So it would be like a supplemental way to tap into what we think is important if you really want to improve at this sport. So that's something we're um, trying to play around with. And honestly, like we're not sure. Is there a demand for it? Is there not? I think last season, off season building up, it was cool to see people try out those workouts. They weren't necessarily in a, those were sort of, I don't want to say one-offs, but it wasn't part of like this comprehensive programming, which this would be. So we're playing around with that
Yeah, and I
to
think
give
that
people.
people have asked also on um pretty much like, hey, like how should I get better? How should I train for this? And
Yeah.
we're not the authority on all things rucking. And I think we've been really intentional with trying to be like really, really humble, maybe even a little bit too quiet on just how experienced we are, and some of the experiences that we've lived and had and all of that. However, when we look at what we do and what we're doing and what we're building along with everybody that participates with us, we're creating and legitimizing rucking as a sport. And with that, I think it's a very interesting thought experiment to follow through with action. It would be like, all right, if I were to train as a ruck based athlete, like a rucking athlete, what would that look like? What would I want to do? And there's people across the spectrum, depending upon where you are currently and what your accessibility is and what your histories are and all of that stuff. Um, that differs from everybody. But one of the things I think, and this is kind of to Joe's point, like one of the things that's really sort of been eye opening was like kind of how hard people went. And so
Hmm.
Joe has this question: did you guys anticipate this competition being as much as a running with weight as the top scores proved? I didn't, honestly. I didn't think that that would be the case, and that's
Yeah.
been
And
like eye
yeah.
opening.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because when we launched the first one and we saw the distances, we had already planned to have that a 9 miler, and it was like, oh,
Yeah,
we
right.
didn't think it would be quite this.
We
So.
Yeah, we had gone back and forth about should we change that, and we were like, no, let's stick to our guns here because the top people, yeah, are going to run. Somebody actually asked on a comment, is is it are you ever going to do like you force them to walk? Uh and no, we're like the weight will have to do that itself,
Hmm.
and that's
Yeah.
something that, but we're not gonna referee, we're not gonna police
Yeah.
that up. Alec, thank you guys for everything you've done. Can you give any information on how long the finals event will last? No, we can't, or
I
we
mean,
won't
as we
rather.
said, it will not exceed the day. I mean, like it will happen. the 22nd is the day. So if
Yeah,
you're for
but
planning
that one's not.
purposes, yeah,
Yeah, but
there'll
that
be
one's not.
not that will be a complete unknown pretty much all the way through.
Yeah.
So kind of exciting.
Um, yeah, for sure. Someone, a bunch of people asked about patches, season one patch, participation patches, that kind of a thing. Yeah, I guess we'll think about it. You know, that could be a cool thing. I could see a place for that. Again, if there's a demand, and not to say not to make it just about do you want it, because some people don't know that they want it or don't want it. But for sure, yeah, we're trying to figure out like maybe the patch is just the thing to do. I don't know. Sometimes I think the patch thing is kind of played out, but I get it.
Well, the
It's
problem
kind
is
of part of the culture.
how many patches. I mean, there's
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
what
but
here's a
I
good example of like a look into the things. For the CrossFit Games, we wanted everybody to finish. We did this. Everybody that finished the event, the 12 miler at the CrossFit Games, they crossed the line, and immediately I shook their hand and gave them a traditional handoff with a coin. We had a CrossFit Games challenge coin. CrossFit Games Ruck Race League kind of co-branded challenge coin came up because, like, look, you just did that. Even if you did whatever, a 6 mile ruck, not everybody did the 12 miles. We ordered 150 or 200 of those things. We had 150 people sign up for the ruck. So we were like, oh, good thing we went up a little bit more, because I was thinking like 50. Honestly, I was thinking like 50 people would do it. We had 150 people register to do the ruck at the games. We ordered 200 coins, maybe 30 actually
sort of
wound up doing
yeah.
it. So
Which
now we've got
yeah,
a bunch of these
and they say
2025 CrossFit.
2025. I was like, oh, maybe we can do it next year, but no, they say
Yeah,
20. So
no.
it's
So
okay.
yeah,
Yeah, and some
but
of that's
anyway,
just
so that's kind of,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But we do have, we also yeah, there's to my point before of like building the bridge as we go. Um, yeah, it's just kind of funny how this season and things just keep iterating, and there's so many ideas which are awesome, and also just trying to pace ourselves with not having a good idea fairy
Mhm.
completely to track. But the plan is the partner series, which we do really hope people get behind, and it is kind of a cool way to keep your training going. I signed up not with Bill, he's not going to be my partner. I rejected him, but with a girlfriend who she's never rucked before. So it's kind of cool because she's super fit but never has done this. So it's kind of a great chance for to introduce
She really
someone
never
to
rocked
rucking.
before?
Yeah. So
Hmm.
that's next. Obviously, we're behind the scenes planning for finals. That's, and as we get closer, kind of people who are accepting, giving people insight into who's going to be there. Of course, we'd love spectators if people are that into it that they want to come. And then really when we close out the season, um, from December to next, it'll be the same season. So we'll start again with the first event being next April. We really liked how that calendar went. That off season, which will be, pretty much December, January, February, March, is where the programming might come in. Obviously, registration will open. We have some cool ideas for people for next year. Jerseys kind of showing that you've participated, which season you've participated in. So there's all kinds of stuff we have going on, but I think to the degree you want to get behind it, there's no shortage of like you can definitely be part of the dare I say cult of Rock Race League. But next year, just I know we don't need to go that far, but we would like to do a couple of in-person events,
Yeah.
maybe two, and for the Euro crew, like for
Mhm.
sure, it'd be cool to get over there, not neglect those folks, and
Yeah.
just as like a fun get together, do one of the months, say, hey, we're doing it here, and gather folks, and that's obviously something that would be we really want to like meet people in person and just be able to host that. That's kind of
Yeah.
on our so that's it.
Yeah, we got some cool ideas for that. Some cool spots that are on brand and appropriate. All right, cool. If you guys have anything, questions, comments, people have been it's been really awesome to hear also experiences, feedbacks, observations. We love that stuff. That's honestly like what keeps us going. Knowing honestly that like, not whatever, like this isn't how we like pay the bills. So, there's obviously a financial component to this league and our brand and company, and there's that, but like this is definitely not how, like, this is not the Ruck Race League office or anything. What really inspires us and is most valuable to us is also knowing that the hours and hours and hours and what we're doing with this thing is making a difference. And so to hear from you all that, hey, this is how it made a difference, or this is how this was my experience. I think we've been in like the human transformation landscape for so long that we've come to really just really cherish that stuff, and really, really, really appreciate it. And to be able to transmit that and create experiences and opportunities for people to step into the unknown and to, you know, have a meaningful experience that they use their body. Like that's what all of this stuff is about. And it really does inform like whenever we build something that is maybe not, that is like probably the priority.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like one of the top priorities, not like whatever, not other things.
Yeah. Lucas, January. So we'll still like this year we open registration January 1, same thing next year, January 1. Also, one more thing,
Oh my god.
because it's coming up, and we'll put this up, but for people that are on the call, um, Chad, the workout Chad, we are on the Step Up Foundation committee. Sarah's a good friend of ours. Uh, that workout is happening in November, and so we'll be putting out folks who show us their registration for Chad, or we'll have some sort of way to show that we'll get a discount on next year's registration. So
Yeah.
because that's coming up before you register, um, Rogue hosts the registration. It's obviously a very meaningful workout, a really important fundraiser. Um, and it's also, to be honest, I mean, that workout was created by Chad, who was training for, a lot of mountain climbing. And it's a great training workout that is kind of meaningful and purposeful. So that will be put out there as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you can go
So
to Rogue, right?
yeah.
And really like registering, that it's one of those things, like we really believe in like paying the money registering, because they raise money to help uh others, not just doing it. Obviously you can just do it on your own, but we encourage folks to register, and if you do, there'll be a discount.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yep.
cool.
That would be yeah, good mention on that one, okay. All right, cool. Well, I think that's all we got. We're available via the Instagram, on the email, info@ruckraceleague.com. Appreciate everybody making a great first season. Still got a lot going on. We're going to continue to try to do these shows. So if you have ideas or topics or that kind of a thing, maybe like hopefully we went a little long today, but it's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, have a good one.